Hi everyone, Budget Stark here. Thanks again for tuning in. Today's video, we are going to be checking out this monster quarter scale Mark 42, the deluxe version. Normally, I start off the video showing the figure and the box, just so you guys have an idea of it, but on today's video, I will be changing how I will be showing this figure. The reason being, I thought it was nice just to see how the Mark 43, which is this box on the left, then the Mark 42 in the center, the deluxe version, and the Mark 45, the one on the right, how they look in comparison to the quarter scale boxes. For those who do have the quarter scales, you will notice that they are all the same style. So whether you got Boba Fett quarter scale or the Batman quarter scale, they always have a side portrait of the helmet or the face. So that is very congruent with how they normally display their box art. It's nice so you can see the slight variations in the helmets. For those who are questioning what is the difference between the deluxe and the standard quarter scale 42, there's only one difference, and that is the stand it comes with. Now the stand is quite interesting. I'm looking forward to opening it up because it's quite large. There's articulation in terms of the robotic arms. It's a bit like the gantry. I think there are some light up features maybe, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. It's the first time that I would have seen it. So let's open up this bad boy and see how much of a monster it really is. This is actually a first time for a video that I can't fit all the accessories onto the table that I normally display the items on, because there are so many on this quarter scale Mark 42. So I'm going to start on the left hand side, show you the Tony Stark head sculpt. The portrait there is a battle damaged version, and then the battle damaged mask, let me come across a little bit more. That is a completely new design, this battle damaged faceplate. You'll be very familiar with how the body looks because it's very similar in design and colour to the 1/6 scale die-cast Mark 42. This is the base, which has a light up LEDs at the top, and then moving down has a light up feature on the front to show the Iron Man 3 symbol. Then you have the Road Warrior stickers for the battery, the car battery that he uses, which is in this bottom corner of the accessories pack. Because there are so many parts, you must make sure you read through the instructions manual. This is the base. If you want to use this on its own, and then these robotic arms are part of, I would say, like the gantry look, if you want him standing on that. And some plastic rubberized hoses. Another portion of the stand. And then just going through the accessories pack it comes with, various hands, repulsor hands, articulated hands, the fisted hands are on the figure itself. Then you get a battle damage shoulder parts. The white arc reactor cover makes it look like as if it's on all the time, so you don't actually have to put the batteries in to have that look. That's the battle damaged parts on the chest plate, which again is different to the 1/6 scale. Then you move down, you've got the forearm rockets sections and the battle damaged parts on the arm also. Then moving down, as I said, here's the Road Warrior car battery with the wires, the shoulder rocket cannons, that's the rocket that fits on the bottom on the forearm gauntlets. And here, let me get a good close-up of this, is this weapon that he gives the little kid, and this fits into the back of the 42 figure. The only other company that has made something similar with this small weapon is the King Arts Mark 42. But this looks very nicely designed by Hot Toys. So I just, from reading the instructions and having a play about with it already, it's pretty much identical to the Mark 43 and the 45 in terms of articulation. But because of all the accessories it has, you can create a lot of different poses with it. And with that particular head sculpt, which again, I will show you how that looks compared to the 43 head sculpt. The stand I like because it's completely flat. If you remember from the 43 and the 45, they were diorama bases, which meant that you had to put it in sometimes a little bit of an awkward position for posing. But this, you can put it in a more museum type pose because it is a flat base. I did an earlier video in 2016 which I thought this could well be the best figure that Hot Toys have made, one of the best Iron Man figures, and I still stand by that because of all the accessories. All the quarter scales previously have had excellent articulation engineering, and with all these accessories, the head sculpt, the options you can have, the light up features, I still think this is going to be one of the best figures that Hot Toys will make for Iron Man figures. Just to reiterate the situation about the stand and the diorama base, if you bought the standard quarter scale, this is the only thing that you get in terms of a base or a stand. This here with a plastic pole and the crotch resting section there. If you bought the deluxe version, you get the stand obviously, the pole, and these extra parts. So you get this additional diorama base, these two robotic arms here, these tubes, this support plastic section that goes at the back, and these additional robotic parts that are similar to the gantry. So I will set this up so you know how it looks. This is about 1 inch high, so the figure itself is about 19 inches, so that alone is around 20 inches high. If you add this base on top of this, it's around 6 inches, plus another 19 inches for the figure. You're looking at about 25 inches high, but I will show you that so you get an idea of how that'll look. And then this portion replaces here, that goes on the back like this. The pole then goes onto this part of the base, and this is behind like this, giving it the support. So I'll set that up so you have an idea of how that looks. I've put a very simple pose on this 42, straight up and down with elbows bent, standing on the full diorama with all the hoses and the bottom set up. It's a little bit fiddly to get everything set up. There's little plastic tabs that are on the bottom of these 4 robotic arms. They slot into this grate on the base. They can slide in any position, so just put it in a position that you like, and the hoses, they just go into any of these holes and it goes into the bottom of the base there. Just fit it however you want. These arms articulate, they move in a number of positions, up and down. There's a magnetic section here which attaches onto the base just to help you find it, and the bottom of this robotic arm fits into a hole just here, just this part here. One small design feature which I wish they did add was that once you put this in, you can't switch the light on, because the switch to switch it on is at the bottom. So obviously you can't get to the bottom of this because of the base. So if they made a switch at the side or even at the back, somewhere around here, that would make it much easier to switch the lights on the base, because the base is absolutely awesome. If you saw earlier on, it's a very clean, crisp look. So it's a shame that you can't see the base as well as it is not illuminated, because I'm never going to have it switched on all the time. The only thing that I can suggest you have is to use a soap reactor that connects the power pack to the batteries, and that way you can switch it on remotely, so you don't need to have batteries in there. It stands very well, very nicely weighted, no issue at all. So I know a number of you will be asking about the height of this. The height is almost 26 inches high, and that's a straight up and down pose there. And across with the robotic arms, it's probably there to here, is about 13, I would say about 14 inches you need here, 14 inches wide. So you need 14 inches across if you're planning on having this with the deluxe base, and about 26 inches high if you're planning on posing it like that. I'm going to take the base off so you know how high it stands. At a guess around 20 inches without the diorama section, just with the grated base at the bottom. I'm also going to show you the accessories. I'm not going to go through the articulation points. It's pretty much identical to the 43 with some 45 parts. It's a very well engineered figure, absolutely perfect in terms of what it can do pose wise, how it can flex, how the shoulder pads are nicely designed so that you don't have a gap here, very flush, and it's on a ball joint that moves in many directions here, so you can fit it however you see fit. For those who are getting the standard version, you will have just the standard base, which is here. I haven't even put it with the pole at the back because it does stand very well without it. Again, more of a museum pose, nothing too dramatic, and it stands really nicely on the base. You don't have to do too much with it. And if you're planning on putting in a det-off, it stands at around 20 inches high. And the base itself, if you're planning on having this, you need about an inch either side for the arms. So at the bottom you need around 10 inches at least. The first thing we are going to look at is the Tony Stark head sculpt. The one on the right hand side is the one from the quarter scale Mark 43, and here on the left hand side is the 42. It is a different sculpt. The eyes on the 42 look to his left, whereas the 43 is much more dead center. Obviously there are battle damaged parts, the blood stains, the little cuts. The paint app is very slightly different. It's almost slightly glistening with a little bit of sweat on the 42, and it is just a slightly different paint app. Hot Toys, when it comes to head sculpts, I think scream two things that are head and shoulders above everyone else, and I don't think anyone can touch them on this. Number one is the paint app. It's just unbelievable the amount of layers. You can see veins, freckles, wrinkles. You have to see it in hand to be able to view it. A great example of this is the Leto Joker head sculpt. Some people aren't sure about it, but when you see it in hand, it is absolutely phenomenal. It's Hot Toys' first attempt at the Leto head sculpt, and they've got pretty much every single one perfect. You can see veins in the forehead, and Hot Toys is just phenomenal for paint apps. Nothing, I don't think there's any company that can touch them with that. The second thing are the eyes. When Hot Toys paint eyes, it brings the character to life. A lot of companies, maybe Sideshow, one of them, and some other bigger figure manufacturers can't get the eyes looking realistic. They look dull or empty. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the gloss that Hot Toys can put it on, but they just create an amazing depth to the eyes, and you have to see it almost in person to be able to see the tiny minute details of the iris and the eyeball, how they've painted it. Absolutely phenomenal. Here is the faceplate, which again has lots of detail on the inside here. Let me just put it to one side so you can see it. Lots of detail on there. And then when you put it on, It's magnetized. And that type of battle scarring is again new and different to the previous 42. The other accessories is the battery, which you have to put on the stickers, the wires, and that weapon that he has in his back. You have an open and closed version. The battery, I'll never display it with it. Some collectors will say, why didn't they put the stickers on? I'm not too bothered at all, because I'm never going to have it displayed with the battery. But those are nice little additional accessories if you feel they are relevant to pose up your figure. And for those who are wondering, yes, you can take the ball joint and the neck post off the Mark 42, so you can put on the Mark 43 head sculpt if you so wish, and it does look pretty nice like that. So it just sits, you put it straight on. I didn't even put on the collar, which you can use with the 43. So you just put it straight on and you've got the 42 with a full unhelmeted Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt. And this is how the ball joint or the neck post looks when you take it off. You don't have to force it, you just wiggle it gently and the bottom section comes off like that. So there you go, you can take it off and have it with whatever head sculpt, quarter scale of course, whichever head sculpt you prefer. It definitely looks super aggressive with this battle damage armor replaced. So you've put the chest plates, shoulder on both sides here and here, the bicep section, the forearm, and on this side also. The battle damage on both sides are slightly different. So here on this bicep you can see is slightly different to this bicep, and the shoulder on this side is very slightly different to the shoulder on this side. It's nice that you can see some of the workings underneath, because if you don't want the battle damage sections, you can actually put on the rocket launchers with a rocket. These are parts of which I can't even put on because I've got too many accessories to put on, so to say. The arc reactor is very clean and crisp, you can see in the center. And I do like these shoulder pods. I'll show you the back of the figure so you can see how that looks. But definitely an immense overall look. One thing that is not battle damage is pretty much from the waist downwards. It's very clean still. There's still weathering all around, little nicks and scuffs that you can see, but otherwise the bottom is pretty cleanish. Not much damage there, but to be fair, in the film I don't think it was too badly damaged from the waist downwards either. Here is this rear shoulder section just here that drops down to allow for this shoulder rocket section to go in. That drops down, so if you want to keep it flush like here at the top, you can open these air flaps on the back there. There's two of them, and this is the compartment that the little pod goes into. This little thing here that drops in there for the kid's little weapon. And then moving down, this will look very familiar to you guys. It's identical to the Mark 43. The leg flaps, they light up blue, and you just put the batteries in that, and there you go. Really nicely designed and articulated Mark 42. In terms of the elbow and the wrist joints movements, it's excellent. Knee bent all the way up to about 150 degrees. There's thigh swivel, there's bicep swivel, everything pretty much you can ask for range of motion for a quarter scale figure. So the last thing on this video, I'm going to put this next to the Mark 42 1/6 scale die cast, so you can see very quickly the height comparison and the proportion wise of this figure. These are the two die cast 1/6 scale Hot Toys Mark 42s. being towered over by the quarter scale. Battle damage side here, you can see, is totally different. If you look at the chest, shoulder pads, and the forearm section, you can see is very, very different to the quarter scale. And there is the clean version on the left hand side. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and catch you all at the next video.